Hi, Claire. It's Christy. Thank you so much for being patient with this reading. I have just been, I feel like I've been running on fumes, but I had some space this afternoon where I felt more energized and that I could give that energy to your reading. So I've been meditating on your name and your essence as I was shuffling the cards here and just kind of calling forth any guides or spirits that want to um, speak to you in any way. And I'm sure, I mean, you're a light worker, so you get this. But what I always tell people at the beginning of any reading is that to take what resonates with them and leave behind what doesn't. And so, with resonation, meaning, kind of like a guitar string, as you pluck it and it vibrates. If something strikes you in that way, we call it striking a chord, right? And that what that really means is like it's hit something inside of you that you need to pay attention to, and it can be a pretty sound, it can be an ugly sound, it can be a sad feeling, an emotional, overwhelming, happy, expansive, constrictive. It's some kind of response, and it's usually physical. It's in the body, in some way, manifests that way. So if it falls flat, then don't worry about it. It's not for you. I'm, still human and a human messenger. So I like to give that disclaimer. But also, if it falls flat, you're usually not going to remember it anyway. So no worries there. Alright, so I'm just kind of doing a Celtic cross here, and usually what happens for me is I will get more and more of the picture as I continue, and so this part of the reading may be a little bit more shallow, a little bit more shaky, but as I get more of an idea of things, that will evolve. So just kind of know that it's almost like we're building layer upon layer, like a layer cake. We're going to lay the ground layer, and then we're going to build up from there. And eventually you'll have like a full cake that you can kind of digest. So, the reason I'm saying that is because some of these things you may have questions like, well, at the beginning you said, and usually probably that will have evolved into something by the end. So if questions come up right now, then just know that's happening. And usually I will also tell my people I'm reading for to grab a piece of paper or a journal and write down, like kind of we were talking about, anything that resonates with you as you go through this first reading. Write down anything that does strike you, and that way in any subsequent times that you listen to this or watch this video, there may be different things that come to mind. So right out the gate, we got the Tower card, and that's kind of the center. It's the indicator card of where you are right now in this moment. So I don't get the feeling that there's actually any real danger involved. I get the feeling that there's a perception of danger and a feeling, perhaps an overwhelming feeling of wanting to kind of jump ship, jump from the tower, because that's what we've got, these people who are falling right from the top while the tower is burning down. So there can be an actual burning, and maybe these people are trying to save their own lives. But there can also be a perception of burning, a perception of danger, and they're jumping unnecessarily. Okay, so I think that's what I would offer up right now, is that thing you're feeling panicky about, go to yoga, do some meditative breath work, do some visualization, go to counseling, talk to a friend, do whatever it takes to talk through this situation before you jump, because it may cause more problems down the road if you jump ship too early, and especially if it's something just based on your perception. Okay, um, take some deep breaths, allow your perspective to change. If it doesn't, seek out a trusted friend or two who can help you sort through and navigate what it is. One, I was telling my mom this the other night. I don't know if you've seen the Hunger Games, but um, there's a part in the storyline where one of the guys is kidnapped and brainwashed against the chick that he loves. And so when he and is reunited with her, he has all these really weird conflicting emotions, and he'd been brainwashed to kill her, so initially he tries to kill her. That starts to diminish a little bit, but he still can't sort fact from fiction. And someone suggests to him, just say what you think is the truth, and then say real or not real, and allow the people you trust to confirm that for you. So that's what I invite you to do, is to find a trusted friend or two, say, hey, this is kind of the situation, this is where my mind is going, is that real or not real, and allow them to speak into that, because perception can be crazy. I was just thinking this today, actually, about how, in the dating world, and I know you had asked about a new relationship you're in, so I don't know if this applies to that or not, but it's something that it came up that sounds like it needed to be shared. But how when in dating, we have, especially if there's trauma in our background, we have these really slick survival mechanisms. I mean, they just kick in, and it's like they feel instinctual, right? They feel like we're trusting our gut and our instinct, and they just kick on. It's like the thermostat. Temperature drops, air conditioning kicks on, and we don't always know that it's happening until we're acting on it and making a mess of things, right? So if you are noticing, panic, warning signs, whatever that looks like, take some time to breathe, sort out what part of you is actually fixed on that, and what are those mechanisms that are kicking on automatically that maybe are not serving you anymore. Okay. It may be extra frustrating to be dealing with this because in your most recent past, you're enjoying the energy of the Empress. Um, this feeling that you are the birthplace of all creation, that the animals are speaking to you, you're rich with baby, you've got baby on your breast, you are literally giving life to all of creation. And there is that connection with like the divine mother archetype. So to be going from that to where you are now, where you're kind of in this panic stricken mode, may be extra frustrating, and maybe kind of adding to the layers of confusion and conflict, because you're also going, but wait a minute, how did I get from there to here? I was just enjoying my moment in the sun, and now I'm ready to jump from the flames. Like, did I do something wrong? Did they do something wrong? Why does this always happen? Why does this happen to me? How do I keep this from happening in the future? All those myriad of questions, that's adding a whole other layer of frustration during this time that may be creating more pressure for you. So again, I'm just going to emphasize, take a deep breath. Okay? Don't make any sudden moves. Take a deep breath. Okay. Yeah, in the very near future, you're moving toward the King of Swords. And what you've got bridging that gap is the Ten of Rods. So a lot of thoughts and ideas and maybe even opinions here. You're struggling under the load, man. Your thoughts are a runaway right now. And I don't think I can add into any to that I haven't already said. You've got some helpers along the path. I think when I said 1 to 2 people, I think there are 2 people. One more feminine, one more masculine. They don't have to necessarily be men or women. I think you understand that. Someone can be feminine and be a male, etc., etc. One is going to be kind of your warrior, who the masculine character who stands up and acts as the animus, the divine masculine within us, will help with really firming up your thoughts, making sure that they are integral to who you are, authentic to you. The more feminine character is going to help you release them, is going to help you set them free. Letting go, they're going to be integral in you letting go. So you're going to have kind of this interesting duality of coming into more power over your thoughts, but also understanding that you can let them go, that you don't have to let them take center stage, and they certainly don't have to control you. Those are going to be your helpers. The conclusion is positive. I mean, we've got the Ace of Cauldrons. So, with the water, and the cauldrons, especially symbolizing emotion. And I love in this picture, what strikes me is the waterfalls. The emotion is flowing freely. Yes, there is a wall there. So maybe that's also something that you are working through right now is having built a wall around yourself. So there is a wall, but you see the water breaking down the wall and the emotion flowing through. And ultimately, what center stage is this Ace of Cauldrons. So there's this sense of beginning, of springtime, and all that springtime brings for us, which is like new growth, new love, ascending to kind of a new place in life. So this is the conclusion. I mean, you're working toward good shit. Okay, this is really, if you can make it. I'm not gonna say if you can make it. I mean, if you can accept this challenge as a space of growth for you, you are going to, you're going to come to a really good place. You're going to come to a really good place. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Keep that hope alive. Your helpers, no, I'm getting this sense with this guy, the Page of Pentacles. This is the newbie. This is the new guy. Pages, they're always very adolescent-like, ignorant, and I mean that kind of in the ignorance of youth kind of way. So it's this kind of this idea that, like, yes, they're grown, but they still have this youthful heart and personality about them, and that can be really endearing, right? It can be really beautiful, like, to see someone who has fresh eyes for the world, who hasn't been hurt or burned or had to learn things the hard way. But it's also can be very frustrating in a process like this, where because of your own hurts and burns, you respond with these kind of automated survival mechanisms. It can be frustrating to be partnering with a person with such kind of youthful attitude. I think, though, the challenge here is to, instead of rejecting them for not understanding you completely, is to more so adopt the fresh eyes they have for the world. Okay, it's almost like this person is giving you an example. Yeah, interesting. This person is giving you an example of how to see the world differently. Okay. So these really aren't, I mean, placement wise, these aren't the meaning of these cards, but this is what I'm getting for these. Above him is the Queen of Pentacles, and I get that this is kind of, this is you. You know, if your maturity bodies or emotional bodies were to be measured out, you would be the queen, he'd be the page. And so there is a little bit of a disconnect there. But again, I say that, I think, only as to affirm how you feel, your frustrations, and to validate those. But I just get the sense that it's an invitation to add some levity and uh, maybe detachment to your life. So you have this person who's playful and fun and a bit carefree. And how can you detach from, you know, the past and the pains that you feel and those automated things and just all the stuff you've worked on in yourself and are continuing to do, all of that? How can you detach from what? Okay, I want to use I use detachment in the way, like in the way that Buddhism does, you know, where it's not clinging to an outcome or to a way of doing things or even to your hurt. So tempting to, and I do this myself, like I find myself falling into this. In fact, as I'm saying all of this, I'm like, oh, I think Spirit's speaking to me right now too. I attach to my pain. You know, it's a part of my identity. The ways that I've been hurt, they've formed me, and they are a part of my foundation, but they are not me in the end. And I've from time to time find myself really attaching to those, really wanting people around me to validate them, to hold me, and there's nothing wrong with those things either. Um, but there's a line, just like everything, there's kind of a line you can cross, excuse me, where you're expecting those things of others, but not giving them to yourself. Okay? So when you do find yourself clinging to those things, ask yourself what you need and then allow yourself to speak. And in that moment, it may be, I need to go back to bed. I need to drink water. I need to go for a walk. I need to cry. I need to talk to my mom. I need to be alone tonight. I need to journal. Okay, there's all kinds of things. And it may not even come in those words. It may not be as clear as that, like this directive, but it may just be a feeling, an urge. You can't deny in this moment that laying with a blanket on the couch just would be the best feeling in the world, like that kind of a thing. So do it because you've asked the question and yourself is speaking to you. Do whatever it says. And notice how, as you tend to yourself, that changes your demands and pressure that you're putting on this person. And I'm telling you what, girl, this just must be, I kind of am wondering if this reading is for me, although I'm not, there's just so many parallels. Anyway, I've been wrestling with that as well, is how do I come in at a relationship with support and encouragement and love instead of demands? Why aren't you giving me this? Why haven't you done this? Why don't you acknowledge these things? And man, it's even a new relationship, and I'm still just, my survival mechanisms, man. It's like that automatic thing that goes on that says, you know, if we can disqualify this person, then we can avoid getting hurt. Is really what it boils down to. You know, if we can convince ourselves that, well, he's changed his mind and he's no longer interested, and that has happened, so that's not that that's unrealistic, but it's not necessarily what's happening right now. You know, that's not what's playing out. But any little sign, I am ready to go. So, so yeah, I would just encourage you to do that, to check in with your survival mechanisms, check in with your identity, what pains you're holding on to, and then see if you can tend to yourself. Because ultimately, I mean, you have it in you. You've got this warrior goddess who's not afraid of vulnerability, who rides a lion, like can not only rides a lion, but has it by its tail, which means she controls the lion. You've got that. You've got that kind of power within you, a force within you. She carries an infinity sign above her head, so she is eternal. She is me. She is you. Um, this is an invitation to remember that, to recall her, to bring her up, and know that if any of this feels overwhelming or like too much, any of it that you're dealing with, um, she's inside of you. Okay, and that doesn't mean that um, that doesn't mean that strength with a capital S is about pushing, all that stuff that I was just talking about, listening to yourself and doing all of that. She's not interested in pushing beyond that. She doesn't want you to go, well, I'd like to take a nap, and then it's strength that comes along and says, no, you don't need a nap. You're better than that. That's not strength. Like, I'm sure you understand, that's ego. Strength is something altogether different. Strength is the courage that it takes to face yourself. Strength is the bravery that it takes to even be in relationship, to be vulnerable with someone is incredibly strong. And we don't think of it that way, like in American culture anyway. I don't know about international culture, but we don't think of it in a way that vulnerability is strength. I think is naked, because she's a badass motherfucker, and she is naked. I mean, she doesn't have a breastplate on. She doesn't have a helmet on. She protects herself almost in this way that's invisible to us. And in a way that is still giving and receiving. So she is going to help you understand how to redefine self-protection and how to understand all that you're capable of, especially in terms of taking care of yourself and your own growth and your own evolution. It is all within you. And like I said, the resolution to this is that Ace of Cauldrons. It's that new beginning. It's that fresh drink of water that revitalizes and restores and hydrates. It's sitting in the sunshine. It's flowers growing. Okay. So all of this, it may seem really messy and hard and frustrating, but it's kind of in the same concept of like tilling the soil. You till the soil, and then the soil is aerated, it's healthy, it's happy, it's ready to grow things. And that's what's happening with you. Tilling the soil so that you can be ready and receptive to growth and to all that growth has to give you. All right, I'm getting the sense that I should draw 3 more cards. So I'm going to do that here real quick. This is for your mastery. This is, this is so that you can be this guy. This chariot guy he controls the 4 elements: fire, earth, sky and wind. Yeah. No, rain. Wind and rain. He's got all of them. And I think that's what strength is pointing you toward, is mastery of the elements of your life. And keep in mind, your page he's going to evolve too. He is not incapable of growth. And he may turn very well out to be a warrior. I once had someone read to me and tell me this is a warrior of the heart, the Knight of Cauldrons. And I think your page has that potential. So definitely don't give up on them, because they are going to be growing and evolving just as much as you are. And the beauty is it'll be the opposite of this. This was 4 of Cauldrons in reverse. This is actually upside down. So I think what's always fascinating to me is that the woman here, is pouring into the male's cup. So in essence, taking care of their emotional life for them. And you can see they're asleep. Okay, they're not woke, and actually she's kind of asleep too. So the nice thing is you guys are both, it's the opposite here. You're both awake, you're both aware, and that cup's gonna flow back and forth. Okay, it's just all about you being willing and ready to receive it. As long as you're ready to receive it, he is ready to pour into you. All right, so give him space to do that. Give him space to evolve on his terms. All right, not in any way that you want him to. I mean, it may eventually be like, okay, yes, that's what I was hoping for, but not in the process or the plan that you have created. Okay, so I'm getting the sense that the reading is complete, so I'm going to stop. Feel free to send over any questions or anything that you have come up. Again, I really appreciate you so much for the reading you did for me, and in fact, I it, I did meditate on a lot of what it said, um, and even in my attraction to and meeting a new person, it was much more in line with the reading that you gave me as far as a partner, not a project. That really stood out to me. So thank you for the work you're doing. Thank you for sharing with me, and I hope